The movie begins with a rich chick who's so full of herself because of her fancy lifestyle and cash that she doesn't even treat other people like humans. She had this regular servant he'd always put down and mess with all the time. Then one day, fate threw the rich lady and that same servant onto a deserted island where survival was no joke. When hunger, thirst, and being helpless start breaking her down, that's when the servant gets his chance to settle the score for how she treated him. Because now he was running the show, and the madam's ego was busy cooking fish. And if she showed even a tiny bit of an attitude, he'd hand her out punishments you won't believe, which is what we're going to see in this whole story today. The story kicks off with a woman named Amber, who's married to some big-time businessman. But she's so stuck up about her luxury life and her husband Tony's wealth that she won't even talk right to anyone. And that's probably why most folks can't stand her. But she doesn't sweat that. And this time, for a trip, she heads out to Greece on her private jet with her husband and 2 other couples. When they get there, they all rent a ship to cruise around in the ocean. When these folks reach the ship, the staff and the ship's captain Burley welcome everyone aboard. But when the captain was shaking everyone's hand, Amber acted like a diva, like always, and just walked off without a handshake. Everybody thought that was kind of weird. There's this dude named Joseph who works on the ship, and he was totally not down with Amber's attitude. Then he takes everyone's luggage and shows them their rooms. But Amber wasn't into any of it, and from her rude behavior, you could tell she thought she deserved way better than this. Then she rudely asks, "Is there a gym here?" So Joseph quietly goes and brings back a small stationary bike and asks her, "Will that do the trick for you?" He was totally mocking Amber, basically. Amber sees that and snaps at him. "I can totally get you fired, you know." The next day, everyone heads out to do some riding in the small boats. Everyone else jumps in the water and has a blast. But Amber doesn't get in the water because she's scared of it. She tells Joseph, "You stay right here on the boat with me." So Joseph had to stick around with her, no choice. Then Joseph says, "You should really go swimming with them too." Amber hears that and snaps at him real rude. "Oh, now you're gonna tell me what I gotta do?" His behavior totally ticked Joseph off. But what could he even do about it? After that, we check out the scene the next day. That's where Amber's working out. Joseph was cleaning up nearby. Amber sees him and starts putting him down there too. After hearing that, Joseph just walks away. Next, we see everyone sitting down for lunch. Everyone's chowing down and having a great time. But Amber wasn't a fan of the food. She gets mad and starts talking smack to Joseph, saying the food's cold. "Go heat it up and bring it back right now." Joseph hears this and totally loses it, dumping all the food on her head out of anger. Amber starts screaming mad, "You idiot, what the heck did you just do?" Then Joseph suddenly picks her up and throws her in the ocean. But then we figure out he was just daydreaming all that. Then he goes into the kitchen and tells his buddies all about Amber's antics and how stuck up this woman is. So Burley says, "Rich people are just like that. We gotta smile and do what they say every single time. There's no getting around it." After that, Burley goes and takes the food out, but she even talks disrespectfully to the captain, saying that she can't stand these servants. "Tell them not to show their faces around me too much." Just like that, 2 days go by, where everyone has to put up with all of Amber's demands. She starts getting mad over small stuff, and she messes with Joseph the most. He was fed up with her antics. Now he tries to stay out of her sight most of the time. Then one night, while she's drunk, Amber bumps into Joseph and says, "Man, you're always working on a million things. Want to come dance with me?" Joseph was already boiling for revenge, and he figured she was trying to flirt with him. Then he just takes off, saying, "I'm never gonna dance with a woman like you." The next day, Amber says she wants to go fishing. Joseph tries to explain to her that they'd have to go pretty far for that, and the weather's gonna turn bad, so leaving the ship would be a dumb move. But Amber won't listen to anyone and starts being stubborn, so Joseph starts taking her far out on a motorboat. But after going way out, the boat suddenly dies in the middle of the ocean. Joseph tries like hell to start it, but the engine just won't kick on. When he checks the gas, he finds out the boat's out of fuel, and he didn't even check the tank before they left. Amber flips out and tells him, "Start this thing right now. I don't need any of this unnecessary stress." Joseph says, "I already told you not to go. Because you were so stubborn, now I'm stuck here too. So just sit down and chill out. Now we just gotta wait for someone to show up." Now they're both stranded out in the open ocean, and they're hoping someone will show up soon. But the night goes by, and the next day comes, and still, nobody shows up. The food and drinks are gone, and on top of that, Amber starts throwing a fit, saying, "Get me out of here right now or I'm gonna make you pay." Joseph gets super mad at her talking like that, but he couldn't do anything about it. Then Amber finds a gun in a box and Joseph tells her it's a flare gun they can use to signal for help. So don't fire it yet. Time keeps ticking by, and they're both super hungry, so Joseph manages to catch a fish somehow and gives it to Amber to eat. But Amber calls it gross and tosses it out. Just then, they see a boat off in the distance, so Amber grabs the flare gun and is about to shoot it, but she can't pull the trigger. In all the frantic rush, she accidentally shoots the boat, and it starts leaking air. Now they're both floating around, clinging to the half of the boat that's left. Just like that, night hits, and on top of it, rain and a storm start raging. But somehow they both make it through the night hanging onto the boat. The next morning, they wake up and spot an island a little ways off. A little spark of hope flares up, and they both manage to get to the island somehow. But as soon as they get there, Amber tells him, "My lawyer's gonna be seeing you real soon and putting you behind bars." Joseph says, "Do whatever the heck you want. I don't care. And anyway, I can't stand a witch like you. If you feel the same way, then we're going our separate ways from here." Now this island is totally deserted, and surviving here was going to be a major challenge. But Joseph goes up and finds a tiny little hut that someone had probably lived in before. He fixes it up a little so they can stay there, and then he drinks some water from the waterfall and starts figuring out a way to catch some fish. Meanwhile, we see Amber, who can't find anything after wandering around, so she hides and starts watching Joseph. Joseph brings back a fish after a bit, sits down in the shade and starts chilling and eating. Amber sees this and goes over to Joseph and tells him, "Give me some fish to eat." But Joseph says, "Nope, I'm not giving you anything because you've always treated me like dirt." But Amber's ego still hasn't checked out. She acts all high and mighty and tells him, "I want to buy this fish from you." But Joseph tells her, "I'm not selling this fish." So Amber says, "I'll give you $1,000 for it," and even hands him her gold bracelet. But Joseph just chucks it and says, "Out here, your money ain't gonna do squat, and neither is your attitude. If you're hungry, go catch a fish yourself." Amber throws dirt on him, mad as hell. So Joseph flips out, slaps her, and tells her, "If you want to eat anything, you gotta call me master. I'm your boss on this island, and you gotta do everything I say. From today on, you're my servant, and I'm your master. You gotta wash all my clothes first, dry them, and bring them back. After that, if I feel like it, I'll give you some food." Amber had no other option now, so she washes all of Joseph's clothes, mad as a hornet, and brings them to him after they dry. After that, Joseph tells her to go get some water, and she does that too. Then Joseph gives her something to eat. A rich and stuck-up woman who used to flip out if her food was even a little cold. Now she was chowing down on half-raw food because she was so hungry. And that's exactly what Joseph wanted, for her to realize she was wrong and for her rich girl attitude to break. Then he goes into his hut to chill out and tells Amber to sleep outside. When Amber asks to come inside, he says, "If you want to sleep in here, you gotta share a bed with me because there ain't much room." Amber hears that, says no, and sleeps outside anyway. So their first night on the island is over, and as soon as the sun's up, they both go fishing and come back with one fish after a bit. But Joseph had totally changed now, and his rudeness was ramping up. All he does is bring back the fish. He makes her do all the other stuff, and if she shows even a little attitude, he gives her hell. Then one day, when she brings back wood to cook the fish, Joseph tells her to sing and dance for him, and Amber, having no choice, does everything he wants. Now Amber's washing all his clothes like a servant, and if she doesn't listen or cops an attitude, Joseph punishes her. Time just keeps rolling by, and slowly, a weird kind of chemistry starts happening between these two on this deserted island. Then, one day, while Amber's cooking the fish, Joseph suddenly tells her, "Kiss my hand." Amber first tries to say no, but the situation's so messed up that she's forced to do it. Joseph was doing all this just so her big ego would be crushed and she'd become a better person. Now Joseph was living like a king, having a rich, stuck-up chick as his servant. After that, one day while Amber's working, Joseph comes over and starts bugging her about something. Amber was totally fed up now, so when he keeps bothering her, she kicks him in his private part and starts running. Joseph, full of rage, starts running after her. Amber thought he was probably going to take advantage of her because she knew she couldn't get off that island. After running a little ways, he catches her, and Joseph had made up his mind that he was going to fix her up good. But without doing much, he just kisses her for a bit and then lets her go. He really just wanted her to feel what it's like to be helpless. After that, he leaves, telling her, "You've always talked disrespectfully to people below you, but they're people too. If you come to me as a genuinely good person, I'll help you out." Joseph was actually starting to like Amber, so all he wanted was for her to realize that what she'd done to others all this time was wrong. Now Amber realizes her mistake pretty fast. Joseph could have done whatever he wanted to her, but he didn't do a thing. She spends the whole night sitting by the ocean, and then the next morning, she goes to Joseph, kisses his feet, and starts asking for his forgiveness. Joseph forgives her, and after that, they start living as good friends and do everything together. Their lives are totally different now, and slowly, they were getting closer to each other. Then one night, they both lose control and go all the way. Amber realizes she's fallen for Joseph. They stay in the hut together and try to make their lonely time beautiful by sharing it with each other. Then Joseph asks her one day, "How'd you get so mean? And why were you so disrespectful to all of us on the ship?" She answers him, saying her husband looks super caring, but he's actually super careless. "I couldn't form any kind of real connection with him from the jump. That's why I was super stressed and didn't know what the heck to do. But you made me feel the way I should have felt. For real. I love you so much, and I don't ever want to lose you." Joseph was already into her, so he accepts right away. Now they're both super happy together on this island. But one day, when Amber goes to get wood, she suddenly spots a ship sailing on the ocean. When she sees it, she starts to wave, but then she stops for a second. She doesn't say a thing to Joseph about it that night. She figured that if she went back to her old life, she'd probably lose Joseph forever. She just wanted to stay with Joseph like this, even if life on this deserted island was a mess. Then, they find a bottle of liquor in the hut, and they drink it and dance all night long. They mess around and get super close again, and after that night, they start living like a couple. They knew nobody was watching them on this island, and they totally took advantage of that. They spend the next 3 or 4 days just partying and having fun like that. They catch fish together and try to make every single moment something to remember. Amber didn't want to go back, but through all this, Joseph was hoping that someone would definitely show up to rescue them. Then one day, while they're chilling on the beach, they spot a boat. Joseph gets pumped and wants to signal the boat, but Amber stops him. "If we leave here, we're going to be separated forever. I'm totally in love with you and want to stay with you just like this forever." She begs him hard, but Joseph gently explains to her that if their love is real, they'll be together no matter where they are, and their love will stay alive. But Joseph gently explains to her that if their love is real, they'll be together no matter where they are, and their love will stay alive. "I have total faith that you'll definitely come to me when I call you." After that, he signals the boat, and they both get rescued from there. Now they're both on the boat, and Amber's husband, Tony, gets the word that Amber's been found. He comes to the port to pick her up and gives Amber a big hug. Then he tells Joseph, "You saved my wife's life. How can I ever repay you?" But Joseph's face was looking down. He doesn't say a word and just walks away quietly. After this, when he goes to a club, a guy shows up with a bag full of cash in his hand. Tony sent it as a reward for Joseph, but Joseph tosses the bag and says, "I don't need a reward." But the guy just leaves the bag there and takes off. Joseph opens the bag, and it's stuffed with cash. He heads out to give the money back, but on the way, he sees a jewelry store and buys a super expensive ring for Amber. He had made up his mind that he was going to marry Amber, so he calls her and tells her, "I miss you like crazy. I wish we had just stayed on the island. That would have been awesome." Amber answers him saying, "I'll always have your back. Whatever you decide, write it down in a letter and leave it at my hotel reception before I leave tomorrow. I'll definitely get it." Joseph does just that and writes a letter to Amber saying, "I want to marry you. We'll go off to some other country forever and start a new life there. The minute you get this letter, come on down to the port. I'll be waiting for you there." After writing all that, he leaves the letter with the ring at the reception desk. But as soon as morning hits, Tony gets his hands on the letter before Amber and doesn't let her see it. So Amber waits for Joseph's letter, and then, having no choice, she gets into the helicopter with her husband. Right then, Tony gives that letter to a hotel staff guy, along with a tip, and the letter has Joseph's boat address on it. Then the guy takes the letter to Joseph and tells him that the folks who are taken off in the helicopter sent it. Joseph opens it right away and sees that it's the very same letter he sent, and the ring's inside too. After that, he tries to race to the helicopter, but it was way too late. Amber was bummed out, thinking Joseph never sent a letter, and Joseph figured Amber sent the letter back and left him for good. But they didn't know Tony pulled that stunt to break them up. Joseph shows up there, and with his heart broken, he violently throws the ring toward her, and it splashes right into the ocean. Now their love story's incomplete forever, all cause of Tony, and that's where this unfinished romance ends, with this misunderstanding. So guys, do you think this story should have ended like this? Make sure you drop a comment and let us know. I hope you guys really enjoyed this story.